So we had a hell of a time at the 2025 Tour of America's Dairyland. This is stage number 1, Janesville. And here's the good news, you guys. Either you win or you learn in bike racing, something I've said a bunch of times. And because I wasn't winning, we're going to be doing a lot of learning, both from what I was doing wrong, but also because of the help of some amazing videographers, namely Attack Pictures and Short Cycle. I'll link them in the description. We also have some amazing footage of how the winners of these races were executing. So not only are we going to learn what I was doing wrong, we're going to learn what the winners were doing right. So with that said, let's dive into some footage. Okay, let's start by talking about the course here. Stage 1, Janesville, pretty straightforward 4-corner crit. This is one of the easier courses, but even still, the start-finish straightaway goes up this little hill. Look at the power in the bottom left. We're doing 5, maybe 600 watts just to hold the wheels. That's because this is maybe 3% uphill, something like that. Not much wind to speak of, but this is a different level of racing, guys. This is national level racing. All of the strongest racers, not just from the United States, but from across the world. I mean, we had German professionals here. We had New Zealand, Australians. We had everybody who's the best at crit racing shows up because prize money's really high, and this is the highest level of crit racing. And basically the way I've described it is take all the best racers in your district, take like the top 3, and just multiply it by 50. And that's what these fields are. It's 150 stacked riders that are all a little bit more fit than you and a little bit better at cornering than you. And this is an important one, a little bit more okay sending it into a corner and taking higher risks than you. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But for now, I'm tail gunning. What's tail gunning? Well, I'm sitting close to the back here. I'm intentionally letting these gaps open up because I am trying to smooth my effort out. A course like this generally doesn't lend itself to breakaway riding, and you can get away with doing this tail gunning style racing, and as a result my heart rate's in the 140s, so I'm being efficient. Here's a good example of what that looks like. I have stopped pedaling. We are about halfway through this lap, and I am still not pedaling. I am recovering. You're going to see the heart rate slowly tick down. It wasn't that high to begin with, but it's going to slowly tick down, and this gap is going to shorten into this corner. I might take a couple of pedal strokes out of this corner. Yeah, literally 3 seconds worth of pedal strokes. Heart rate still coming down. I'm still not pedaling, and it isn't until we hit this final corner, a couple more pedal strokes right there, nothing crazy, that I have to get back up on the gas and slowly get myself back up to speed. But I can spend almost half this course not pedaling, and that's the concept of tail gunning. And here's another example, basically the same thing. I was doing this for the first almost half of this race, just saving energy. My average heart rate was really low. I was saving a lot of energy by doing this, and you can get away with this on pretty straightforward 4-corner crits like this especially. But all good things must come to an end, and this is the first red flag. This rider on the left dropping back. That's not an intentional drop back. That looked very much like I'm exhausted and I'm getting dropped, sort of drop back. And this is the danger of tail gunning late into a race like this, is suddenly gaps start to open up, and you can inadvertently find yourself getting gapped off the back, getting dropped not because of a lack of fitness or necessarily a strategical mistake on your part, but somebody else just getting exhausted in front of you, maybe 20, 30, 40 riders in front of you, and there's not much you can do about it. And I mean, not even 100 meters later, this is another big red flag. As I was saying that, here's the gap opening up. Did you guys see that? There's a huge gap opening up, and this is the danger. So it's time to start moving up. Brad, what a boss. My teammate Brad, who was next to me tail gunning this whole time. Yeah. You can hear us communicating. I was saying go around him. Brad closes this back down like a boss.
Yeah, we're chill, but we should probably move up.
And you can hear me talking. Man, the microphones on these new action cameras are so good. This is cool that you can actually hear what's going on. So like I said, we're chill, but it's time to move up. We can't tail gun anymore, and we have to get into more consequential position to see how the end of this race plays out. So a few kilometers later, and this rider on the left pulling out, opening this gap. So another indication that we're not quite there yet. We still need to move up further in the group, and we need to get to a safer place where we can avoid these dropped riders, these splits. But how do we do it?
And we're going to talk about that, but first, how do I actually record these races? Glad you asked. It is with the Insta360 X5, which is today's video sponsor, and specifically I want to talk about how I mount this camera to my bike. And I realize this is like my third version of how I mount this camera to my bike, and that's because I'm continuing to improve this process. The problem with their threaded mount here is twofold. Number one, puts a lot of strain on these threads. I'm not sure how I feel about that in the long term. But number two, not everybody has that out front mount. What everybody does have is a standard quarter turn mount. So what I ended up doing was I bought one of these phone to Garmin adapters, and I didn't trust the sticky pad that those are sold with. I pulled that off immediately, and then I bought myself this right here, which is epoxy resin specifically for plastic, and I bolted that sucker right to the side of the camera. The one I've already tested it with is already out in Chicago at Grit recording races as we speak, and it is rock solid even after several crashes. So that is my new solution for mounting. I'm going to link all the stuff I use down below. So thanks again to Insta360 for sponsoring this video, and now back to the race.
Bunch up again. Yeah, I'll just run you straight up when it goes.
So as you can hear Brad and I talking,
I'll let you go. Come around just
there's Brad doing a little bit more talking. We're waiting for it to bunch up again, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you can find small wins like this and get maybe a couple, 2-3 wheels in corners when you can find gaps. You can also move up when it's maybe 2 riders wide like this and spend a little bit of energy like I'm doing now to move up a few wheels at a time. Or another good opportunity is when somebody else is doing the same, like this guy on the right can move up in somebody else's draft is ideal and move up a few riders here and there. But the real bang for your buck comes at times when it bunches up, like I was saying to Brad. Those are the moments when you can get the best bang for your buck because, well, let's look at it first. This moment right here, look at this. I'm yelling at Brad, up, 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 and that's because this is such a critical moment to move up. I mean, I just moved up 50 wheels or something like that into this corner. And if you think about it, it makes sense. If it's single file or if it's like 2 riders wide, let's just say it's single file for the sake of the point I'm trying to make. Let's say it's single file, and you move up 5 positions, 5 bike lengths in the group. You get out in the wind, you do 1,000 watts. Let's say it takes you 5 seconds, and you move up 5 bike lengths. That's 5 positions when it's single file. Now imagine it's 10 riders wide, and you move up the same distance with the same power, 5 seconds. Now you're moving up 50 wheels because it's 10 wide. So that is a 10x return on that investment and energy, and those are the moments you're looking for. But this is where the problem started for me. It's kind of sketch up here. You get these dive bombers, and there isn't that much team control. So you get these overlapped wheels, dive bombers coming into these corners, and then riders like this getting let back in after a crash. It's just, I don't have the same level of risk tolerance that I did when I was younger. It's a big part of it. I mean, fitness-wise, I was feeling fine up in the mix. I think that the racing is faster. I think that the level of crit racing at Tour of America's Dairyland, at Chicago Grit, at these big national level races has elevated. And this is a good thing. This is good for the sport. But I think that another part of the equation is people are much more willing to take big risks in these corners. And in order to combat the risky dive bomby behavior, you become the risky dive bomber, and then you feel like you have to match the level of risk in order to stay competitive towards the front. And I think it's this corner where, yeah, I see another opportunity and I become the dive bomber. So it's like I'm not innocent in this either. Like it's high risk behavior that allows you to find there's a teammate doing the same thing that allows you to find that 1 or 2% competitive edge that makes the difference at this level of racing. And this risky behavior being elevated leads to only one thing, and that is crashes, of course. And here's one pretty late in the race. So I wish I could say it was different, but the crashing has gotten a lot worse in these high-level races. And it's not just today's race. You're going to see a lot of this, unfortunately. Well, maybe fortunately, if you're if you like watching cyclists crash. If that's why you click on NorCal Cycling, then you're in for a treat because there's no shortage of crashes at Tour of America's Dairyland this year. So eventually we were able to get our shit together on VFR and actually organize towards the front. I think there were 4 out of the 5 of us. Jeffrey still up towards the front. We're going to try to go find him. But it was just too little too late, and that brings us into the final lap. We are not in position to have a consequential result in this race. Unfortunately, you can see, I mean, maybe 25th wheel here, something like that. Heart rate's still in the mid-160s. Like, I still have quite a bit of sprint legs left, but I'm just not in a position to put them to any meaningful use, to be honest with you, because a little bit spooked by the crashes, I'm not going to lie, and also just didn't have what it takes to be up in the front bubble. So just trying to get to the end at this point. Just trying to, see if I can knock off maybe a top 20 if I'm lucky, but realistically probably not. And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, that bottom part of the course where it narrows a little bit as we cross over the bridge caused a crash that happened maybe 3 or 4 wheels in front of me. And we were going, 35 miles an hour at the time of the crash. It's really hard to slow down when you're going that fast. Even with modern disc brakes and all of that, there's only so much slowing down you can do, and I was able to probably scrub half of my speed before I actually laid it down, and had a pretty graceful slide on my back, as you can see, but not a great way to start off Toad stage number 1 2025. But don't go anywhere, because I have some amazing footage of the end.
Oh, my new helmet!
Courtesy of Attack Pictures, here we have 3 laps to go. I'm going to pause it right here because I want to show you guys what excellent teamwork looks like. Mito Q on the front. We have another 2 Mito Q riders on the tail end of this little gap that's opened up, and they're both looking back at the gap. This is basically an ideal situation. We have Lucas Burgoyne, national champion, probably the biggest threat for the win in this race, chasing, and then the Mito Q riders have stacked this front group. Basically an ideal situation for a late race breakaway. And that's exactly what happens. We have Ben Oliver off the front now, coming into 2 laps to go. And in case you don't think it could get any better for Mito Q, let's check out the composition here. Ben Oliver smashing on the front. And if we pause it again right here, we have a chaser in the middle with Ben's teammate in tow. And it gets even better because the chasing peloton, led by Lucas's teammate, is also followed by a Mito Q rider. So I've talked about this before on the channel, but putting teammates into race-winning position is you give yourself the best chances for success. And that brings us into 1 lap to go. We have Ben Oliver still on the front, now extending his gap. And he still has teammates in the pack as basically an insurance policy. And in case you're wondering what it takes to ride solo from a national level field like this, he did about 1,500 watts to establish that gap. Then he held somewhere between 500 and 700 watts on the straightaways for the last 5 minutes of this race. That's at the end of 70 minutes of really hard crit racing. So not only did they execute on a really smart strategy, they also had the incredible strength to pull it off. So a well-deserved win to secure the first stage of Toad and the leader's jersey. Mito Q boys know how to race their bikes. And one more thanks to Insta360, who is offering a free X5. That's right, their $550 flagship 8K camera, now with replaceable lenses, by the way, which I've already taken advantage of, to one of my subscribers who I will pick at random from the comment section. So to enter, be a subscriber, make a comment. YouTube now shows which comments come from subscribers. It makes my job a lot easier. And Insta360 is also asking that you follow their Instagram, which I'll link in the description. So thanks as always, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.